No, this is better than the Palisade. Hello, this is Ioniq. The car we're meeting today is the Ioniq, which represents family SUV electric vehicles. Recently, I shared a test drive video of the Palisade. A lot of people went crazy when the Ioniq came out in the 60 million won price range this time. The Palisade hybrid vehicle went over 70 million won, so people are wondering whether they should buy the Palisade or go for the more futuristic Ioniq. In this video, I'll tell you in detail what the differences are. And in our Palisade video, we measured the first, second, and especially the third row space for you. Since many people are curious about the third row space in the Ioniq as well, I'll measure it myself. We're back in the car after reaching our destination, and we've turned the camera on for the return journey. Now, I'll tell you what kind of feeling I had while coming here. You might be really curious about how the ride quality of Kia's electric vehicle 9 compares. The electric vehicle 9 feels a bit sharper, so the two cars even look different. Electric vehicle 9 has a more masculine vibe, while the Ioniq feels soft and elegant. Because of this, the electric vehicle 9 also has a sharper ride quality. The car that has refined this a lot is the Ioniq we're driving right now. You might wonder about the differences between the Ioniq and the Palisade. Besides the electronically controlled suspension, the Ioniq has a noise cancellation feature, which the Palisade lacks. So I mentioned that this was a bit disappointing, but the Ioniq is equipped with a noise cancellation system. So first, which car is quieter while driving? Of course, electric vehicles are quieter since they don't have an internal combustion engine. But with the addition of the noise cancellation feature, it's really quiet. When we usually talk about quiet cars, we often mention Genesis, but this is even quieter than Genesis vehicles. And not only in the low to mid-speed range like now, but even at high speeds, when you go over 100 kilometers per hour, it seems like the A-pillar has been reinforced a lot. It's definitely quieter. Then, when it comes to family cars, what we really need to consider is the ride comfort. How is the ride comfort different? The Palisade had an electronically controlled suspension in the calligraphy trim, so it's true that it's more advantageous in various road conditions. However, the Ioniq ride comfort is not inferior to this. Even though it's a much heavier car, it uses a basic hydraulic suspension, and the rear side is equipped with a self-levelizer. But if someone who doesn't know the difference between the two test drives them, I think more people would say the Ioniq feels a bit better. Alright, I'm going to go over a speed bump now. I'll go over it at 50 kilometers per hour. Bang, bang, bang. The rear handles it impressively cleanly. That was a speed bump. I went over it at 40 kilometers per hour, and at around 30 kilometers per hour, there's almost no difference. Interior noise is also very important for overall ride comfort. Since the Ioniq is an electric car, it's naturally quieter, and with the added noise cancellation feature, it's really quiet inside. Since electric cars are quiet, you tend to focus on other sounds, but I think it's safe to say that there's almost no noise coming from the motor anymore. The noise coming from the front wheels at the front fender in the first row and the rear wheels in the second row as well. I think it would be hard to find a car like this in this class. However, if there's a slight difference, it might be because this car isn't a mass-produced model yet, so there are some small rattling noises inside. Since it's an electric car, these sounds are a bit more noticeable. As I drove the Ioniq, a thought crossed my mind for the first time in a while. In the past, the Ioniq 5 was first released, and then I think the Ioniq 6 came out after that. In the past, electric car promotions focused on performance metrics such as acceleration, top speed, and efficiency, expressed in terms like 0 to 60 times and kilometers per charge. Then came the Ioniq 6. In the Ioniq 6, they added features to reduce the jerky feeling unique to electric cars. So they made it possible to adjust that, and now the reason I mentioned the ride quality of the Ioniq earlier is because it now offers a ride quality that's good enough to be a family car. What does that mean? When I drove the Palisade last time, there was one thing I said was a bit disappointing. The 2.5 gasoline turbo engine, which isn't a 6-cylinder, is powerful enough, but when you want to accelerate, the turbo engine has that unique, slightly edgy response that only a 4-cylinder engine has. That's why I miss the 6-cylinder engine a bit. I said that I miss it. But in the case of the Ioniq 9, it's an electric car. So even without a transmission, it delivers enough power right from the start. Alright, now I'll try operating the accelerator 5 times in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The car doesn't jerk or hesitate anymore. So I think most people would buy this car for family use, but for me, quick responsiveness isn't really something a family car needs to have by default. Smoothness and a comfortable ride for my family are key. It's about the handling, shifting, and the MVH that perfects the ride quality. I also think the Ioniq 9 is a bit more appealing when it comes to noise levels. I think it would be good for you to actually test drive both vehicles and see which one fits your lifestyle better. As for the driver's seat, which we use the most, it still has a soft feel. It also feels a bit firm, and this sensation is very similar to the suspension feel of the Ioniq 9. A little earlier, I mentioned that the Palisade is equipped with an electronically controlled suspension. This electronically controlled suspension ultimately adjusts the damping pressure through the shock absorber. In situations like turns or cornering, of course, vehicles equipped with electronically controlled suspension have an advantage. As for the Ioniq 9 I'm driving now, maybe because the car itself is basically heavy, it gives a better impression in terms of rolling from side to side. And one of the improvements this time is the camera-based side mirror. Even with the Ioniq 9, including its shape, it felt a bit awkward. The lunchbox-like exterior design and the subsequent digital side mirrors felt somewhat awkward. Look, the size has really been reduced a lot. So when you look at it from the outside like this, the camera-based displays on both sides no longer obstruct the driver's view and now feel quite comfortable. And in internal combustion engine vehicles, this camera appears on the dashboard. What's nice is that you can definitely feel it more by looking at it like this.
Because it's camera-based and not an actual mirror, we can't tell the distance of the car behind us.
But as you can see now, it's divided into 2 stages with orange and red, so I think it'll be pretty good once you get used to it. Especially, the fact that it shows a consistent image, whether it's snowing, raining, or dark, is an advantage of this camera-based side mirror. I just started the test drive, and I came here with the battery fully charged. When it comes to electric cars, how far you can go and how quickly you can charge are things you consider very important. Since today isn't a long-distance test drive, we can't know everything, but if we look at the specs, both the 2-wheel and 4-wheel drive versions go over 500 kilometers. And the charging speed, which you consider important, usually refers to the time it takes to charge from 10% to 80%. For those who drive electric cars often, charging from around 40% to 80% is really important. This time is short enough that you can fully charge while using the rest area. About 10 minutes is enough. Whether you use fast charging or slow charging, there will be some differences, but since the Ioniq 9 can basically drive over 500 kilometers, you don't really need to worry much about the driving range. And to tell you about the drive modes, there are usually 4: Eco, Normal, Sport, and My Drive. The car we're in right now is an all-wheel drive vehicle. In Sport mode, the driving power is distributed nearly equally to all 4 wheels. In 2-wheel drive mode, the rear wheels are primarily active, with occasional assistance from the front wheels. What does this mean? It means you can have more fun driving because it pushes from the back like a rear-wheel drive, and you can drive more smoothly. So personally, when you choose the full option for the Palisade Hybrid, it goes over 70 million won. And in the case of the Ioniq 9, if you add options to the basic trim, you'll probably have to add about 5 to 10 million, one more, to buy the Ioniq 9. So I think you'll have a hard time deciding. Also, since over 70% of people chose the Palisade Hybrid, unless you made a reservation really early, you might have to wait from 6 months up to a year at the longest. Considering these situations, I think the Ioniq 9 might be a better choice. And this time, there's a feature in the Ioniq 9 that I personally was looking forward to. You know how the Ioniq 5N had the virtual shifting function. When you go into drive mode and turn on the VGS function, this car changes to feel like an internal combustion engine vehicle. How different does it get? When you turn on the VGS, there's a shifter under the steering wheel. With this shifter, you can operate it like a 7-speed transmission. When I press it, the number 5 appears in the middle of the dashboard. I can shift down to 4th, 3rd, and 2nd, and it creates different tones as if full throttle is working. This sound is the VGS. It's definitely different from what was shown in the Ioniq 5N. Still, even for an electric car, it reduces the smoothness and dullness, and if you use the VGS function from time to time, it will definitely double the fun. After trying out this VGS function, the Ioniq 5 felt like driving a manual transmission, so I expected this feature in the Ioniq 9 as well. However, it didn't quite feel the same, possibly due to my high expectations. It's more like you can just shift gears, and it gives you a bit of that feeling. That's about it. It seems Hyundai is suggesting this is a family car. If you want that kind of feeling, go for the Ioniq 5N. For your information, this VGS isn't available in Eco mode. It's only activated in normal and sport modes. One thing personally surprised me. In my opinion, even if you include all the vehicles from Hyundai, the audio system in the car I'm driving right now seems to be the best. Basically, it's a Bose audio system with powerful bass, and Hyundai has been using this Bose audio for quite some time now. The quality has improved a lot, so when you think of Bose, you usually think of cars with strong mid and low frequencies. The sound quality of the Ioniq 9 not only fills this spacious interior with rich mid and low tones, but even with the default settings, the mid and low frequencies have a subtly clear tone. To be honest, when I drove Hyundai and Genesis cars, I was really envious of the B&O audio in Genesis, but at this level, unless you're a real audio enthusiast, I think most people will be satisfied. In my case, since I have kids, I want to let my family enjoy comfortable music not just in the first row, but also in the second and third rows. Dads who think like that probably all feel the same way. For people like that, I don't think there's any need to spend extra money on adding an audio system anymore. From the driver's seat, there's another difference compared to the Palisade. In the Palisade, the housing covered the entire top area. Because of that, the car felt a bit more luxurious, but at the same time, it also had a somewhat old-fashioned vibe. However, the view in the Ioniq 9 I'm driving now is very comfortable. You can see the end of the dashboard, and as you can see here, it's set up like this, so it actually feels more comfortable than the Santa Fe you've usually driven. Since the head-up display is provided right in front of the dashboard, you just need to glance at the information display from time to time. You get the idea of what the driver's space feels like, right? Then, how about the second and third row spaces? Let's take a look right now. Now let's check out the third row space we've been curious about. The light buttons are here and up above. Wow, that was smart. Before, this used to touch, it used to hit, but now it's been improved like this. And there's the first difference. There was a difference right at the entrance. Last time, the entrance of the Palisade measured about 30 centimeters, but now it doesn't come out that much. I think the entrance is about 25 centimeters now. 5 centimeters is about this much, so the entrance of the Palisade is definitely more convenient. I'll try going in myself. Let me grab it. I'll start by measuring from the third row space. Producer, Nim, we saw the Palisade last time, right? What do you think about this one?
Personally, it looks a bit smaller than last time.
It looks smaller. Previously, the seat measured 41 inches wide. If we measure it exactly, it's almost the same. Because of this part of the seat, it's a matter of whether it goes in a little or not. But as you can see, it's 41, 42, so the length of the seat, that is, the length of the seat base, is almost the same. The second was the width of the seat. Last time, the width of the third row seat in the Palisade was 114, 115. But at first glance, it looks a bit smaller, maybe because this part sticks out. Ta-da! The width of the third row seat from side to side is 103.4 inches. It's around 10 cm smaller than the Palisade, which is about this much. Although it's unlikely, if 3 people are going to sit in the third row, you definitely have to choose the Palisade. If it's just 2 people, then this is enough. Let me try sitting down. This is how it looks when I'm seated. The seat cushion length was the same, and as for the height and width, it definitely feels narrower. Also, what's really important for long trips is the seat cushion. Last time, the Palisade measured about 90. This one looks much bigger. Wow, there is a difference. This one measures about 13 or 14. Wow, that's a really big difference. The Palisade's third row had a wider seat, but in terms of seat cushion length and comfort, this one is actually better. In that case, you'll likely face this dilemma. If, for example, only 2 people are sitting in the third row, the Ioniq 9 might be a better choice. But if you absolutely need to have 3 people in the third row, then the Palisade would probably be a better option. And then unfold the seats. Lastly, there's one more thing you need to check right here. How far your shoes can go in. For me, they go in about this much, so I think that's just decent. You can think of it that way. Let's check out the trunk space I was curious about. Alright, looking from the back, it's definitely narrow. Last time this filled up the Palisade completely. The width of these two seats in the back is about 10 centimeters smaller. And come over here, you can fold down the second and third row seats electrically on this side. Second row, third row. Wow, that's impressive. The headrest on the third row folded down automatically. And now the second row seat is moving back. There's a monitor in front here. It's gotten smarter, really smart. In the past, even with the Genesis brand, if there was a monitor, it would just close or stop. Now it's gotten this smart. It folds down completely. Now let's measure the car camping space that I was curious about. First, from the trunk to the second row seat, the longest part in the center measures exactly 53. And many people are curious about the length from the second row seat to the end of the trunk. The length from the second row seat to the end of the trunk is exactly 118. This is almost similar to the Palisade. And in the middle of the first row seats, as you can see here, you could put a car camping cushion, or in the 7-seater model, this middle part would be blocked. The length from the end of the headrest to the center is exactly 186. There may be some margin of error, but it's almost the same as the Palisade. And last time, when you were sitting in the first row seat, all the way back, it only came up to about the emitter 7. This is up to this meter. Emitter 24, and if you look from the first row back, you can expect that the Ioniq9 has a slightly larger interior space.
Let's just check one last thing.
The narrowest part of the trunk space is between the wheel housings, and the widest part is behind the wheel housings. I'll measure both. The narrowest part between the wheel housings is about 105 centimeters. Oh, it looks like it's exactly 10 centimeters smaller. Earlier when we sat in the seat, we said it was about 10 centimeters smaller, and this width also seems to be about 10 centimeters smaller. This time I'll measure the widest part, which is behind the wheelhouse, from the back to here. It's about 135 or 136. This is the exact measurement, about 135 or 136. There was an unexpected difference in this space between the Ioniq 9 and the large SUV Palisade. Last time, when I measured from the first row seat to the end in the Palisade, it was about 1.8 meters, but in the Ioniq 9, it goes over 2.2 meters. So, you can say that the Ioniq 9, being an electric car, has a bit more space here. If you plan to go car camping and fold all the seats down, the Ioniq 9 would be more advantageous. On the other hand, if 3 or 4 adults are lying down, the one with the wider width would be better. Especially in the legroom area, the wheelhouse and around the wheelhouse, the Palisade was about 10 centimeters wider than the Ioniq 9. I think it would be good to keep this in mind. After finishing the test drive, I found myself even more conflicted. Should it be the Palisade or the Ioniq 9? That's for you to decide, but the Palisade offers a comfortable ride, and its electronically controlled suspension really contributed to that comfort. On the other hand, the Ioniq 9 has less body roll than the Palisade by default, so it doesn't come with electronically controlled suspension. On the other hand, the feature that's only available in the Ioniq 9 is the noise cancellation function. The Ioniq 9 is equipped with technology that makes an already quiet electric car even quieter. So, you just need to consider the price and the second and third row space. You saw the second and third row space a moment ago, right? When I measured the second row space, the area behind the first row was a bit more spacious in the Ioniq 9. And maybe because the seat itself is a bit higher, the front part of my shoes went in a bit more. The first and second rows have similar features, but there was a definite difference in the third row. In terms of space, the width of the third row seat is actually 10 centimeters wider in the Palisade. So if 3 people are sitting, the Palisade is definitely at an advantage. But what if only 2 people are sitting? Even if only 2 people are sitting, everyone. Rather than sitting shoulder to shoulder like this, it's better to have a little space between you, so the third row space in the Palisade is a bit better. However, since the seat cushion in the Ioniq 9 is a bit thicker than in the Palisade, it really depends on your preference. We've just taken a look at the newly released Ioniq 9. It really feels like a car has come out that you'd want to buy as a family SUV. We'll also take a look at the undercarriage of this vehicle. We'll also check next time to see exactly how this differs from the existing Ioniq 5 or electric vehicle. 9. This has been Yormat. Thank you. When buying a new car, consider using Yormat Welka. I'm not telling you to buy it. You should all check it out for yourselves. Compare it with the best conditions. Paying in cash offers a percentage of cashback. Instead of giving you some showy free gift, we'll install the industry's best tinting film for you. Even if you just take this offer, it will be much better than other conditions. If you're curious, please check the bottom of the video. That concludes the video I made. I'll see you again with even better content. To receive future updates automatically, subscribe to the channel and enable notifications. Thanks. This was even a little helpful. Please give it a like. Subscribe and turn on notifications to get accurate new car information quickly. Thank you.